Dong Jin stood at the edge of the casino floor, his sharp eyes scanning the bustling scene before him. The clinking of chips, the murmurs of players, and the flashing lights of slot machines blended into a symphony of chants. But Dong Jin wasn't here to play, he was here to observe. Unlike the gamblers lost in the thrill of the game, Dong Jin saw beyond the surface. With a keen analytical mind, he could discern patterns in behavior, detect hidden emotions, and even determine a player's occupation just by the way they handled their chips. He noted the nervous twitch of a middle-aged man in a business suit, the calculated patience of a woman in a red dress, and the reckless desperation of a young man pushing all his chips forward. But why was he analyzing them so closely? Dong Jin wasn't just an observer, he was an employee of the casino, tasked with identifying customers who had reached their emotional breaking points. Every casino thrived on repeat customers, but some gamblers, after suffering devastating losses, reached what was known as their pain point. This was the moment when frustration, humiliation, or despair would make them swear never to return. The casino couldn't afford to lose such patrons, and that's where Dong Jin's expertise came into play. As soon as he identified a gambler nearing this threshold, he relayed the information to Park Mi Jung, the sharp and decisive manager. Mi Jung understood the importance of damage control. She quickly instructed the staff to approach the distressed player, offering them complimentary meals, drinks, or even a free night at the casino's luxurious hotel. The goal was simple: to replace their pain with comfort and indulgence, ensuring they would return to gamble again. Dong Jin's method was soon recognized by the casino's owner, who invited him to present his findings in a meeting. With a calm demeanor, Dong Jin explained the psychological mechanisms behind gambler retention. He illustrated how the free services helped numb the pain of loss, allowing players to rationalize returning for another chance at winning big. Intrigued, the owner decided to put the theory to the test. A man who had just lost a significant amount was immediately given a deluxe suite and a lavish dinner. The next morning, instead of walking away from gambling forever, he made an unexpected decision. He sold his car to return with a larger sum of money, eager for another shot at fortune. The owner, now convinced of the effectiveness of Dong Jin's strategy, nodded in approval. "You've got a sharp mind, Dong Jin. You understand gamblers better than they understand themselves." From that moment on, Dong Jin became an invaluable asset to the casino, ensuring that no player ever truly left the game. As Dong Jin walked toward his car, ready to head home, he froze in shock. The car's windshield was shattered, and shards of glass lay scattered across the hood. His heart pounded as he inspected the damage, his mind racing to figure out who could have done this. Without wasting time, he drove to the police station and filed a report. He handed over his car's black box footage, hoping it would reveal the culprit. The officer on duty took a glance at the recording before turning to him with a serious expression. "Do you know this person?" the officer asked. "Whoever did this must know you well. This kind of act isn't random, it's personal." Dong Jin shook his head. "No, I don't know them. I have no enemies." The officer narrowed his eyes, clearly unconvinced. "Are you sure? This looks like revenge to me." "I'm sure," Dong Jin replied firmly. The officer sighed and then switched topics. "What do you do for a living?" "Data mining," Dong Jin answered. The officer frowned and hesitated as he tried to type the words into the report. "Data, what?" Seeing the confusion on the officer's face, Dong Jin explained, "It's an office job. I analyze patterns and data to make strategic decisions." Just then, a loud argument erupted behind them. Two men were yelling at each other, their voices growing more aggressive. A scuffle broke out, and another officer rushed to intervene. Dong Jin turned his attention toward them, observing their clothes and movements carefully. His sharp eyes caught a few key details. He leaned toward the officer handling his case. "They're brothers. They won't press charges against each other." The officer raised an eyebrow. "How can you tell?" "Look at their shirts," Dong Jin said, pointing. "There's the same detergent stain on both of them. And see those small white hairs stuck to their clothes? They must have a cat at home. The fight is serious, but not enough for them to want legal action." The officer stared at him, then back at the arguing men. Just as he was about to dismiss Dong Jin's claim, a woman burst into the station carrying a fluffy white cat. "Enough, both of you," she scolded. "Stop embarrassing me." The officer turned back to Dong Jin, clearly impressed. "You were right." He chuckled and leaned back in his chair. "I guess data mining really is a powerful job. No wonder you can afford a nice car." Leaving the police station, Dong Jin sighed as he checked his phone. He had plans for dinner with a friend, but a new message flashed on the screen. "Friend, I might be late. Just caught a criminal. I'll try to make it." Dong Jin smirked. His friend was a detective, always busy chasing criminals. Not wanting to pressure him, he replied casually. Dong Jin. No worries. I'm at a team dinner. A reply came almost instantly. Friend. You're not lying, right? Dong Jin. Of course not. But the truth was, he was dining alone. He walked into a quiet restaurant, ordered a simple meal, and ate while scrolling through his phone. The empty seat across from him made him feel somewhat lonely, but he shrugged it off. After finishing his meal, he headed to the train station. The cold night air made him pull his coat tighter as he walked through the nearly empty streets. Upon reaching the station, he sat on a bench, observing the passing crowd. Then, something unusual caught his eye. A young man and woman stood in the center of the station, attracting attention from the people around them. The young man looked nervous yet determined, speaking earnestly to the woman. I really like you, the man confessed, his voice trembling slightly. The woman, wearing a cap that hid most of her face, took a step back. I'm sorry, but I don't feel the same way. Please, don't follow me anymore. The rejection was cold, and the crowd murmured. Some pitied the young man, while others whispered about the drama unfolding before them. Dong Jin remained seated, but his sharp eyes analyzed the scene. The woman finally turned slightly, revealing part of her face under the dim station lights. His breath caught in his throat. He knew her. His mind raced back to his high school days. Memories flooded in, the sound of chalk on the blackboard, the scent of books, the laughter echoing in the hallways. And among those memories was her. She was a student who had attended school with him. What was she doing here? And why was she hiding her face? Dong Jin remained still, processing this unexpected encounter. The woman, oblivious to his presence, turned and walked toward the platform. His curiosity grew. Should he approach her, or would it be better to stay unnoticed? Just then, the train arrived, its doors sliding open. The woman stepped forward, and Dong Jin knew he had only seconds to decide. Would he let her disappear again? The story begins with Park Mi-jung, now an adult just like Dong Jin. However, her past was shadowed by an eerie mystery from their high school days at Madong High. Back then, a series of accidents started happening to the students. The strange part? Each incident involved a male student who had confessed their feelings for Park Mi-jung or had been particularly kind to her. After expressing their affection, they would soon find themselves in tragic circumstances, falling down the stairs, suffering unexpected injuries, or even getting involved in freak accidents. Rumors spread like wildfire. Students whispered about a curse surrounding Park Mi-jung. They started calling her a witch. Fear took hold of the school, and no one dared to approach her. She walked alone through the hallways, surrounded by silence and wary glances. From afar, Dong Jin had always watched her. Unlike the others, he didn't believe in curses, nor did he fear her. Instead, he found himself drawn to her in a way he couldn't explain. Mi-jung's loneliness, her mystery, it all fascinated him. But just like everyone else, he never dared to step closer. Now, years later, as Dong Jin sat in the train station, he couldn't believe his eyes. The woman standing before him, the one who had just rejected the young man's confession, was none other than Park Mi-jung. His heart pounded. The memories of high school came rushing back, and he realized, this was his chance. Without hesitation, he got up and quickly followed her as she exited the train. Keeping a safe distance, he trailed behind her through the dimly lit streets. He didn't want to scare her, but he had to know where she lived. He had to know why fate had brought them together again. Mi-jung walked with a steady pace, unaware of his presence. She turned down a narrow alley and entered an old apartment building. Dong Jin hesitated for a moment before noting the address in his mind. What had happened to her all these years? Was she still haunted by the rumors of the past? As he stood there in the shadows, one thing became clear: he needed to find out the truth about Park Mi-jung. The next morning, Dong Jin searched social media for any news about the commotion in the subway. Sure enough, he found reports stating that the man who had flirted with Park Mi-jung had mysteriously fainted after she walked away. Dong Jin was stunned. The pattern was too strange to ignore. Could it really be true? Could Park Mi-jung be cursed? The thought unsettled him. Back in high school, he had dismissed the rumors, but now he started to wonder if there was some truth to them after all. He couldn't shake the feeling, so he decided to meet the only person he trusted, Detective Kim, his one and only friend. They met in a quiet cafe, and Dong Jin poured out his thoughts. What if some people are just meant to have bad luck? He mused. What if they are cursed, and no matter what they do, misfortune follows? Detective Kim listened, stirring his coffee as he thought. You're talking about someone specific, aren't you? He asked. Dong Jin nodded. Someone I used to know. Someone whose life has always been surrounded by strange accidents and bad luck. Kim sighed. A person like that must have had a difficult life. People fear what they don't understand. If she's been labeled as cursed, she must feel so alone. Dong Jin lowered his gaze. He felt an overwhelming sadness for Mi Jung. If she really was cursed, then she had suffered terribly all these years. Yet, she had carried on, facing the world without anyone to turn to. Determined, he clenched his fists. He didn't know what was really going on, but one thing was clear, he couldn't just sit by and watch. He needed to uncover the truth about Park Mi Jung, no matter what it took.